Not bad. I like these. I don't know about this one. Ugh, not again. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you the top 5 ugliest soccer cleats currently on the market. If you guys enjoy the top 5 series on my channel, don't forget to support this video with a like. If you're new to the channel, watching one of my videos for the first time, welcome, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. And of course, as always with these top 5 videos, feel free to leave your picks down below in the comments as well. Please keep in mind that all of these picks are based on my own personal opinions. You may agree with me, you may disagree with me. Usually the people that disagree are the ones who are most vocal down below in the comments. But again, everyone is of course entitled to their own opinion. Also keep in mind that these picks are based on the physical designs of these shoes, not necessarily specific colorways. You could pick very popular models that have come out in some ugly colorways, but that's not necessarily the focus here. Perhaps I can make a video on the top 5 or top 10 ugliest colorways right now. If that's something you'd be interested in, let me know down below in the comments. But again, the focus on this video is on specific designs of the shoe and whether or not they're ugly. In this case, I don't think they're the most attractive things in the world. I'd also like to point out that the looks obviously have nothing to do with how the shoe is going to perform, but that is not to say that it's still not an important aspect of soccer cleats and really footwear in general. The one thing that you're gonna notice first with any soccer cleat is the way that it looks. It's the thing that's going to draw you to that shoe in the first place 99% of the time. Nobody's going to the store and picking out the ugliest shoe to try on first. They're picking out the ones that look the best to them. Again, everyone has their own opinion on what looks good and what looks bad, but for the sake of making an entertaining video here, we're gonna be focusing on the ugly ones. Also keep in mind that these picks are in no particular order. So with that out of the way, let's do it. Number 1 is already on the boot wall behind me. So I'm gonna leave a little pop-up poll on screen with a few different options. I want you guys to vote which one you think I'm going to pick. Give you a couple seconds. All right, there's my pick. Number 1 is the Under Armour Spotlight 2.0. Now, if you regularly watch the channel, you know that I've made fun of this shoe a good amount ever since it first came out, but I honestly think that it's well warranted because this is, in an age where soccer cleats are getting thinner and lighter and more streamlined and less bulky in general, the clunkiest design of 2017. It has a zipper, for crying out loud, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, tell me, is that something that should be on a $200 soccer cleat? These actually retail for more than $200, $220. That's just unacceptable. And really the only purpose of this zipper is to seal up what is just a lace cover. It has nothing to do with lockdown. It has nothing to do with responsiveness or the tightness of the shoe. It's just there for the sake of being different, but it's the most unelegant way of creating a lace cover on a soccer cleat. Not to mention the actual design of the shoe. The zipper doesn't look very good as it is, but the way that they did the color blocking on this shoe just looks really, really strange. And I'm not just focusing on the colorway here, it's really the types of materials they've incorporated, because I know there is a blackout one of these now, which granted does look better, but any shoe fully blacked out looks a lot more normal. It kind of hides the design of the shoe. But you have an Under Armour logo towards the heel, and then basically the front 3/4 of the shoe are completely blank, which just looks really, really weird. You have an Under Armour logo right there, which looks fine, but then this really unusual looking stripe that's just completely there. It looks like it would be a seam, but it's simply there for the Spotlight branding. That's a little bit difficult to read. And the combination of the smooth matte finish black here and this faux carbon fiber finish just make the upper look cheap. This looks like a homemade shoe, not something that a $1 million, possibly $1 billion company, I'm not really sure, that Under Armour is, would produce. The sole plate looks great, I'll give them that, but everything else on this shoe is just really, really ugly, which is why it does make my top 5 list of ugliest boots right now. The New Balance Bizzaro 2. Now this pick may be more of a personal opinion, some may disagree with me, but for me this is not a shoe that I would ever pick off the wall based on the way that it looks. It's got a really unusual, kind of bulky, clunky shape to it. So for similar reasons to the Under Armour Spotlight, I don't think this is the most attractive thing in the world. And even on feet, the shoe just doesn't look very good at all. The upper has a very plasticky vibe to it, both in terms of look as well as feel, although the way that this shoe feels has nothing to do with the aesthetics of it. It's got this seam right here, which is blended in quite nicely, but I can't say I'm a huge fan of this hexagon pattern. Is that a hexagon? Yes, it is. Hexagon pattern going around the back. I know that you can get certain colorways that eliminate the hexagon pattern altogether. The New Balance logo on the side, I don't know, it looks okay. This is a really unusual colorway for the most part, but we're not focusing on colorways here. And then of course, you do have this midsole, which gives the shoe, like I said, a very clunky, kind of bulky look to it. It doesn't really look like a soccer cleat to me, which I guess is my main criticism for this particular shoe. Now keep in mind, when it comes to opinions on this particular shoe and New Balance as a brand, I'm very honest about my reviews on the channel, but what New Balance really likes to do is send out a lot of free boots via social media to different people on different platforms. Believe it or not, I'm not one of those people that gets anything for free from New Balance whatsoever, because I don't think they like my opinions of them, and that I am brutally honest. But because a lot of people get stuff for free, they tend to say very nice things about the shoes, both in terms of looks, as well as, I guess, the feel and performance characteristics, which I'm not crazy about the feel, I'm not crazy about the looks. It's just not a shoe that's all that appealing to me. The Nike Mercurial Victory 6DF. Now this is a shoe that is not on this list because it's a lower end model. It's on this list because this collar just looks really, really bad. Like, look at this close-up angle. Does that look like a premium product to you? Does that look like a Nike product to you? This looks homemade to me. This looks like someone took a low-cut Victory, trimmed the collar a little bit, and did a really good job of attaching an actual sock to a standard low-cut shoe. It does not look like it's supposed to be there whatsoever. And keep in mind, this is literally a sock material. It's not the same Flyknit you would find on the Superfly 5, which is obviously what this is trying to mimic the look of. You also have this really harsh transition between the sock and a solid upper here through the middle that just doesn't look very good whatsoever. And again, this shoe just oozes cheap to me. Obviously it is inexpensive with a $90 retail price, $10 more by the way than the low cut model. So you actually pay $10 for what I think is a shoe that doesn't fit as well and is far uglier, although people are gonna have their own opinion on that. And really to me, this looks like a fake Nike product. This looks like a counterfeit Superfly. So for me, not a huge fan of how these look whatsoever. The Adidas X17.3. Now again, these are my personal opinions. Your opinions may differ. And given how popular the X17.3 is as a takedown model at the $80 price point, I'm sure there's gonna be some angry people with me down below in the comments. But to me, this is one of those shoes that just looks really, really cheap. Similar to the Victory, I don't like when they try to implement high-end features using very low-end materials and just lower build quality standards in general. You can see this, it does incorporate an S-curve heel like you'll find on the higher end models, which admittedly does look okay, but this front bit here made from the neoprene material, it looks misshaped already and it's brand new condition. You have the tongue right there, which flows into what would normally be a one-piece design, which I don't think looks very good whatsoever. It's got some of the clunkiest laces you'll find on any soccer cleat right now, which Adidas is doing a lot of with their $80 price point takedown models for whatever reason. The upper looks very plasticky to me on this particular model versus what you would find on the X17.2, 17.1, or of course the 17 Plus Pure Speed. And the fit, feel, and overall performance characteristics of the shoe, not so great either, but obviously that is not a contributing factor here. If you look at the X17.1, which would be one of the two top end models on the line, you have the Tech Fit material, which does create that kind of higher raised piece right there. It's flowing, it's one piece, it's got a nice clean look to it. And then you look at the X17.3 side by side, and it just doesn't look anywhere as good. It's got a very cheap look to it, and I guess that cheapness is why I don't think it's the most attractive thing in the world. And finally, pick number 5 is, again, the Nike Magista Opus 2 version 1. Now I'm kind of breaking my own rules a little bit here in that this is no longer the current version of the Opus 2. There is now a new model with a much cleaner looking upper and also a version of the upper that I think feels better overall. So if you had the option between version 1 and version 2, looks aside, I would go for the newer variation. But this is a shoe that you definitely can still get. It's available in all the launch colorways because it hasn't been very popular, partially because of the way it looks. It kind of has the appearance of a teenager with acne. It's been described as the pimple boot. It's been described as the blister boot. It's been described as a few other things as well. that I'm not gonna say for you on camera, but you get the idea. It looks like there's little blisters all over the surface of the upper, and depending on the colorway, it's more noticeable or less noticeable, but as a whole, regardless of the color variation, I think everyone can agree that it's not very, very attractive. I think it's safe to say that we can all see what Nike was going for from a feel and performance standpoint by implementing these kind of bulges in the upper that are essentially just kind of bubbles on the surface to create some texturing, but the way that it looks is simply not worth the performance, I guess, attribute that it has on offer. Not to say that this is a particularly great shoe as it is. I'm personally not a huge fan of this version of the Opus 2, but again, from a look standpoint, I think most people would prefer their shoes with no pimples at all. An honorable mention goes out to what is another kind of controversial pick, but this didn't make the list because I don't necessarily think that they're ugly as much as I just think that they're kind of weird looking, and that is the A17 Plus Pure Control. I kind of had the same opinion of the 16 Plus as well. I think that from the lateral side, this angle where you have the Adidas stripes, the shoes actually look pretty good. What looks weird to me is directly front on, the fact that these are laceless and given the cut of the shoe just looks very strange. And then the fact that there's pretty much no branding here whatsoever. It's left completely blank. Obviously that's gonna vary depending on the color. Just looks really, really strange. Like this angle of the shoe to me just looks really weird. And then the fact that this has a collar with such a big opening and a fairly straight cut at the top, where basically the front of your shin and the back of your Achilles is not going to fill in this complete gap, which means there's always gonna be a little bit of space here. It just makes the shoes look kind of like boots, actual boots, not football boots, on your feet, which I've always thought is just kind of strange looking. They're not ugly to the point where I wouldn't want to wear them because of the way that they look, but I always thought it was a bit of a weird looking shoe. Again, everyone's gonna have their own opinion on that. I know a lot of people absolutely love the way that this shoe looks, but for me personally, just not that crazy about them. Ended that sentence a little early. Anyways, guys, those are my picks for the top 5 ugliest boots currently on the market. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are some of your own picks? Let me know down below in the comments of this video. As always as well, any questions for me, leave them down below. I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. And if you have any suggestions for other top 5 video topics, let me know down below in the comments and I'll take a look at everything you guys have to say. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. If you did enjoy today's video and you didn't already leave a like, be sure to support the video with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. All my social media information is linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.